Welcome to the MBVS show, baby. I'm your host, Mark Hayford, coming at you like a hot dog in a shake when you wanted fish tacos. Woo! Greatest day of your life and final episode of the MBVS show. Welcome to the program. I didn't come alone. I'm your host, Mark Hayford, and I brought four friends, and one of them is a five-time author, Dr. Norman Freed, 30 years, trauma, bereavement, stud, lots of books. Dr. Norman, give it up. Woo! Hey, West Coast, TEDxer. She has an app called Haven. You want to go check it out. She is an Emmy award-winning voiceover artist. Ladies and gentlemen, T-Money, Tasia Valenza. Dropping bombs on yo moms. This chick is an actor. She's a podcaster. She is a children's author of an amazing book inspired by a global pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, coming from the land of cool breeze and palm trees, it is Barb Heller.
Hey, Barb.
Hello, Barb.
Somebody that lives in my neck of the woods. Literally, she is a professor and she is a neuroscientist. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Haley Nelson.
Hey.
This is it. We've been doing this. We've been doing this all summer long in the name of mental wellness, everybody.
It's been so much fun. Such a
great
blessing.
summer. Great summer.
Congratulations to all of you and the guests that we've had on throughout the summer. And just listen, really trying to make a difference for people, all in the name of mental wellness. I'm proud of you guys. Give yourselves a little pat on the back because nobody's getting paid for this, and you're taking your own time, stepping away from your families, your practices, your businesses, all this stuff. We've had cameos from Dr. Haley's children and Tasia's pets from time to time throughout the summer. We're real people with real lives doing real things. And I know all of you are making a difference. So I want to say thank you guys for really coming here and just making this happen, right? It's fantastic. And I want to thank all of you that are watching and listening because, listen, this doesn't happen if nobody sends anything, if nobody watches, if nobody cares. But apparently you do, and we want to thank all of you. And the future of MBVS, well, you'll have to stay tuned to find out. But before we get going for our final episode of the summer of 2022.
Wait a second. Can we not then throw a little love on you, Mark? Because you are
the Marky.
Bring the love, baby.
Mark,
make
you're
it
a
happen.
great moderator
You
for
bring the
entire
energy.
summer.
You are so much a part. And this all came out of the Mental Wellness Room from Clubhouse, which you host every week. Thank you. Like you're like the postman. You always show up. You're amazing, and so we couldn't have done this without you. So
absolutely. And if you need a little bit of more, Mark, get his books too. Nice short reads and so powerful. They're great.
And join the Get Up Club on Clubhouse right now.
Woo!
Absolutely,
right now.
Absolutely.
Because that continues, even if this show doesn't continue. That continues.
Every Wednesday, 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Clubhouse. It is the Mental Wellness Encouragement Room. We do it every single week, and we don't do it alone. We have more people that you have seen on this video throughout the summer. If you want to go binge watch and fall down the MBVS rabbit hole, we invite you to do that. You will get to hear and talk to the personalities that you've seen on this show. So yes, thank you. It's important. We all do what we can to play a part to this to make a difference. And we've been doing this in the name of mental wellness. So I appreciate the kind words. And now, disclaimer time, ladies and gentlemen. Content heard here today is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or the qualified healthcare providers. When any question you may have regarding medical condition or potential mental illness, never discard professional medical advice. Seeking because something you heard in this room or seen on this video.
Woo!
Wow.
That
very
is
well
a
done.
legal VO. That would be money in the bank. Right there.
I appreciate that.
He's tired.
I'm done. You guys go. Okay. Now there are so many questions here that I'm scrolling through, and this is the final. We're only going to do one question today. We're going to do something a little different. We're going to take one question, and then after the question, I would like to propose a question to all of you, which I think would be fitting for. And that's right. If you need your furry friends taken care of, it's Tasia's Daycare for
he
Dogs.
has no boundaries. We have to talk about it. We'll have to.
This one's I can't wait to hear all the answers. Here we go. I'm 30 and I live on my own, but I went home to visit my folks last week and they treated me like I was a child. I thought they would be proud of the achievements I've made, but instead they criticize every little thing that I do and it hurts. What should I do? Ooh. What do we have? This is delicate. This is interesting. Barb, I see you. Go ahead. You're muted.
I would just say, as someone who comes from a home where there was sometimes a lot more criticism than praise, you got to fill up your cup, as Tasia would say. Meaning you really have to find ways like download Tasia's app, Haven. Get my guided free meditations on YouTube. You can subscribe to me, and there's 10 of them up there right now. You can go to my website. I made those because we all need positive reinforcements, and sometimes that comes from guided meditation, from prayer, from being around supportive friends, and also from positive affirmations like you'd find on Haven. Our words are really crucial in developing that really positive mind, body, soul connection, voice connection. And it goes without saying, our ears are as well. So whatever you're listening to needs to be put through a filter. You get what you look for. If you're looking to find criticism at home, you're gonna find it. If you focus on, wow, I just got a compliment, and you reinforce that, you may be surprised to see the hardest person, the biggest critic, turn into a giant supporter of yourself overnight. And it really comes from you. I heard Dr. Joe Dispenza, I'm a very big fan of. I've been to 2 of his retreats. I'm on his team in terms of, we do these meditation groups. And one thing that he says that I love to remember when I get stuck with people hurting my feelings, which is, I'm not only to make fun of it, I say it myself, but no one can really hurt you unless you give them the power, even if their words are hurtful, is that we are a hologram. Like whatever we see out there is actually a hologram of whatever we're projecting, like through the prism of our eyeballs. So make your hologram good, look for good stuff, find good stuff. That doesn't mean, Mark read the disclaimer that I know everything, or that I'm telling you to put yourself in an abusive situation. It's fun. It's exciting. Be Indiana Jones about it. No, you will know when it's abusive, and you will know when to get yourself out of there. And maybe actually spending the night at your family's house could be dangerous. But you also know when you can give of yourself to your parents and your family and your elders and spend time with them, even if they could be somewhat difficult. Check your barometer, check what you're looking for, make sure you've got supportive friends, find a good therapist. That's my 2 cents.
I love it. Sometimes I catch myself doing this too, and where my expectations of how other people are going to respond to whatever I'm presenting, I almost set them up for failure in my mind. Whether they were praising me and saying, "Yay, that's awesome, congratulations," I would probably come back and say, "Well, why didn't you pop a bottle of champagne for me? Why weren't you doing cartwheel?" Like, it would never have been good enough. And so I wonder, and I'm not saying that that's what this viewer, what the situation is for them, but I wonder how much of that is true. What could her parents have heard? I don't remember if it was a she or he said to this individual that they would have been happy about. If they were criticizing, then maybe it's coming from a place of love and support and wanting her to always do better and be better and reach for more and reach higher. Or maybe, they're just criticizing and critical people. But then even if they were to give praise, honestly ask yourself, what could they have done to make you happy? And any answer to that would almost be kind of a red flag. It's like, why are you giving anybody that much power to make you happy? You should be proud of your own accomplishments, regardless of what other people think and say and project on you. So that's, if they're finding this pathway and this trend that people are always disappointing you, then don't give people that power anymore to continue to disappoint you, right? Have it, own it, love yourself, be proud of yourself, and screw everybody else.
That's a Dr. Haley Haymaker right there.
Yeah. Is that a medical term?
It is, screwing everybody else. Yeah.
Screw everybody else.
Who cares what they think? Just be happy.
Norm, do you want to take that?
Sure. Thank you, Tasia. There is a theory in mental health and in particular family therapy that suggests that you have 24 hours when you go home to your family of origin to be the person you have turned into. After that, you turn into a 14-year-old that never left the house. And so please remember, every one of us is going to fall victim to being seen by our parents and our siblings the way they saw us when we were younger, not the way we are seen by our colleagues, our partners, and our children. So please give yourself permission, I would say, to allow the impact of your family of origin to get you to question whether or not you are who you think you are, and understand that you're not going to disabuse anybody of their view of you, and it's not your job, it's not even your business what they think of you. What it is, it's important to remember who you are on the inside, what you've achieved thus far in this life as an independent adult. You're 30 years old now. You've done this on your own for a while. Take stock of who you are, who you've helped in this world to make it a better place. Who am I when I'm at my best? And what else is left for me to do in this life? And you will carry yourself with greater composure in the face of primitive, early life criticism that really doesn't serve you anymore.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Boom.
I love it. And, you know, again, I'm listening in and I'm like, I always love this because I learn from you guys so much. And it's, you know, and it's wonderful because I think, you know, everyone's learning from each other and we give this, but it triggers like, how can I share something? And I guess the one perspective I could share, because I've had that experience and I am, you know, I did feel very criticized as a child and I'm very hypersensitive to that. And have had that experience where, you know, even if a compliment came, I could shift it and mess it up. With my own mom, who was very very critical of me growing up, and then really tried to apologize as she evolved. My best moments were with her when I had the compassion to think about what her child was like, because my childhood, I mean, and also being a mother now of 3, she was alone. My parents divorced when I was 2 and had to take care of me. And now I've had a husband and help to take care of it. So my ability to have empathy for my parents always has given me, when I'm at my best, the ability to rise above when they haven't been their best with me. And that's something that if I could offer, that the wound, what you feel, is a lot of time, again, they communicate. And if they haven't evolved the same way, in other words, there's always a hurt child within them. And if you can somehow fill your own cup, as everyone so beautifully said, Barb, and have almost that awareness of being not a parented child, but that mature person to say, where is this coming from? And how can I maybe even give love over what I would like to see if I can bring out the more compassionate person that is my parent. I don't know if that makes sense, but for me,
it makes brilliant sense. It's beautiful. And from the woman who gives great voice, you've just given great advice as well.
Thank you. I hope
that's such a tricky one, right? Because I mean, it's sensitive for so many people. These people that you're fielding the criticism from are, in most cases, some of the biggest or the people that are most responsible for helping shape our paradigm, right? In those formative years where we're being fed and uploading messages that we don't even realize that we're responsible for it. And that helps in becoming the person that we are. So I love that whole, just all the stats you gave there, Dr. Norman, about how within 24 hours you go back to that 14-year-old.
Less than 24 hours for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when we get the dynamic of the siblings together, it's like 2 hours and we're down that path. Like, and you know.
But I think what you're saying, Tasia, is that we need to be very conscious and rise above. And that's so beautifully said. Thank you.
If we can.
Healthy boundaries.
And having the ability to see our parents as humans and that they were also once children, and whatever, you know, whatever they went through, they're still operating from that. It helps to have more ability to be compassionate if you can. But the lens is so important.
Yes.
Fantastic advice, everyone. And so listen, because the time is ticking here and we're only taking one question today because I wanted to propose something here. This final MBVS show that we're doing of 2022. And with this, with new endings, new beginnings, changes coming, changes in seasons, changes in people's schedules, changes in the lifestyle dynamics, people don't like change. And a lot of times this can affect people adversely, whether it's for positive reasons or maybe not so beneficial reasons. So look, when we're talking about this whole life change, which is happening literally because of a season out here in the US of how we do school, and that affects everything. What are some thoughts on this as far as just the change in lifestyle, what that can do to you emotionally, and what can that do to you mentally, and even how that can bleed over physically in some, aspects? Who wants to touch on this?
I want to touch on it first. So you guys might not know this, but I actually have a textbook that I have not published yet. It's on Jewish astrology, and I happen to love fall. It's always been my favorite season. In fact, one time I was studying in Jerusalem in a yeshiva, and there was a righteous convert sitting next to me, this woman from like Podunk, Texas. And I said, I'm fascinated. Like, you grew up a Christian. What made you want to go to Judaism? I've seen the other way around, but I'm like fascinated when someone goes the other way. And I'm also fascinated in general by religion and all spiritual texts. So, if you're into that, you might enjoy my answer. I started my podcast, Beautiful Soul. I just love religion. I think it's beautiful. And I think people screw it up, not the divine being that, kind of gave us all these different pathways to truth. So she says, every time, I'm going to try to do her accent well. She's like, every time, that fall wind would start blowing in Texas, I'd go for some apples with honey, and I didn't know why. And I said, you're kidding. That's what Jews eat on Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year, which always comes in the autumn. And she said, I know it. And I once went to a synagogue, and I brought my own apples and honey, and they said, you're in the right place. And so this is not an answer to get people to be Jewish. We don't proselytize. What I find fascinating about Judaism or the Jewish calendar is that it's almost 6,000 years old. And the new year begins in accordance to, what we believe humans when they were created, which would be like Adam and Eve, for instance. And why am I giving you all this religious talk? Because I do think that there's something inherent in all of our souls that makes us feel different in the autumn. We have the Winds of Change, great song by Scorpion in the 80s. If you're familiar, look it up. It was a one-hit wonder, one of my favorites. I know Mark is smiling from the inside. But there's this wind that comes in where you feel this, something is in the air, like change, right? And so we know the winter's coming for those of us who've been around a few times. And we start, I don't know about you, but I start to get this feeling of hope and inspiration. And I would use it as a time, just like now I understand the Jewish holidays of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. There's 10 days in the beginning of autumn when we think to ourselves, and you can feel free to take from this if you're interested, what am I doing here? What are my priorities? How am I doing health-wise, mind, body, voice, soul connection? Where's my support system? And what am I doing every day to make myself, my friendships, my relationships, my family, and the planet better? And if you can answer those things or start to answer them, I mean, you can do it every day. One of my favorite teachers, the Ramchal, Rav Chaim Moshe Luzzatto, says that every day we should be asking that when we wake up in the morning, how can I make myself and the world better? And what is my purpose? These are hard questions to ask, but I don't think they should just be asked in the autumn when we're going into the new year, or if you think of it as January 1st. No judgment. That could also be the first of the year. But that question, if you start to ask that on a daily basis, it might be good practice to do. Journal, have fun with it, as opposed to, oh no, a new school year, a new fiscal year is coming. I don't know what I'm going to do with my taxes. It's another year. I'm single or don't have kids. That would be my story and my tape. Instead of dealing with that once a year, start doing it on a daily basis. See if that could take, some of that burden away.
That's very interesting.
I think it was interesting how, go ahead, Tasia.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I liked how Mark prefaced the question with people don't like change. Well, some people do like change, especially when, at least in my case, like I've got kids home with me full time in the summer and I'm like, yes, school is starting again, right? But then it's another quick change. Now it's the holidays and we got to be with family, and then it's the new year, and we're constantly changing, right? And some people like change. Some people live for change and they don't like the mundane and the same old routine. And then other people are really, they like the set norm. And, neurologically, our brain certainly likes the same and likes what's comfortable and familiar. And so for some people, it can be very challenging where there's, change of time, change of hormones, change of, just everything's changing. So both physiologically and outside in the environment, there's a lot of change happening, and that can be very triggering for some people. So I do want to encourage people to just be mindful of how they're feeling. Our emotions have evolved and been conserved through evolution for millions and millions of years to protect us, to keep us safe. It is a survival. It's been conserved for a reason. And one of those reasons can be because if you listen and truly feel your emotions and how you're feeling, now that can be a warning sign or a light bulb moment saying, ooh, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. I'm having trouble falling asleep at night. What's going on? And starting to ask those questions to see what it is. Maybe it's vitamin D deficiency. Maybe it's, you're not getting enough sleep and it's sleep deficiency. Or maybe it's just the added stress of things going on at work or problems at home with your kids. Whatever it is, honor those feelings because they mean something. It's not just all up in here, it's also in our heart and soul, right? And then so to be able to recognize that and then be able to do something about it. And sometimes those emotions are happiness and joy. And we should also honor and love that. This is mental wellness, not just about mental illness. So honoring all of the spectrum of emotions and seeing what that means. What is it that makes you happy? Is it? And then once you can answer that, then try to sprinkle that in throughout the entire year. So it's not just dependent on, well, this time of year, I'm only excited when I get my kids out of the house, right? Maybe that means set up some self-care time throughout the year so that you can have some peace and quiet and that you can have some mommy time or mommy and daddy time alone, right? Where the kids aren't around. If that's what brings you joy, and that sounds, I should take this back. Can we rewind? I'm not saying that being
I feel you.
Brings me joy, but
no, you're not.
I think that any parent who's been surrounded by their children all summer can understand this concept right now. But
absolutely.
Understanding it and recognizing it so that you can continue to incorporate it throughout your year, because that's what change brings. Change brings a change in our internal emotional state as well, so that now we can recognize, ooh, I didn't know that brought me joy. Or, ooh, I don't like the way that I feel when this happens. What can I do to prevent either myself from feeling this way next time it happens or prevent that stressor from continuing to happen in my life?
Excellent.
And you're not a bad parent.
Tasha, can I jump in?
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Okay, so what I wanted to say is transitions are difficult for all of us, right? And the change of seasons is going to be a time of transition. And we are about to end, at least in this hemisphere, the northern hemisphere, we're ending this beautiful summer and entering into the autumn. We have friends that are listening to us from Canberra, in Australia, or Christchurch, New Zealand, for whom your time of change of season is going to be you're entering into springtime. So we must be wary or vigilant to how every one of us in the world is going through some type of change in the next coming weeks. And what's so important is that we recognize how we've grown through this past season and get ready for what's ahead. And the metaphor of the changing of seasons is really much about the human condition itself. We have constant change, which is both good and bad. So when we're hurting, we can remind ourselves this too shall pass. The sun does come out. And when we're happy, we can also be quite grateful because we can remember that there will be days where there will be sun, there'll be no sun, and there'll be rain. And so I would encourage everyone who listens to our podcast to be both grateful for the beautiful season that you just went through and hopeful for what's coming next. There are changes ahead. Some of us are having children going off to college. We have to say goodbye. Some of us have jobs that are now starting, which we didn't have before, which we could be excited about or nervous about. Let's challenge ourselves by taking on these new changes with gratitude. And the change of seasons will just be another chance for us to remember how human, how flawed, and how beautiful we are in the changes.
I love that. Yes. And agreed. I think that's kind of a nice way to embody it, that we're humans. We're perfectly imperfect. There's never, someone loves summer, someone loves fall. There's always going to be, but the one constant we know is there's always going to be change. And how do we gracefully handle it? It's so much about our perspective.
Yeah.
Right. Because it literally is, right? It's like the glasses that we put on, the lens we have. And I would say for me, I've been really trying to become more of the witness to my thoughts. Because I have these thoughts and I know they're just, they say that we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day streaming unchecked. And I mean, again, the scientists in the room, and that 80% of them are the thoughts from the day before and the day before and the day before. So I've been really becoming aware, and I'd love to offer it up. Be aware of your thoughts, and ask yourself as you're thinking of it, is this really true? Do I really hate summer? Am I afraid? Why am I afraid of fall? Or why am I feeling this pressure? And see, are they old programs or are they new? Because we can always change our perspective, but we have to be aware of what we're actually thinking. So for me, I'm definitely noticing, again, what I love more, what I don't love, but questioning myself, why am I feeling that way? And is it something that is true, or am I just in thinking mode, thought mode? So that's something that I can offer for every season, every day that we get up. When we wake up in the morning, think of our brains as malleable programs or computer programs, and we have to keep updating the software day after day, season after season, year after year. And what are we putting into our programs? And the most important thing we can wake up with and keep ourselves on the path that we want is some form of gratitude, because that is the road to any kind of fulfillment and happiness, no matter what's in front of us. And there are days it's really hard to find gratitude for anything, summer, winter, spring, or fall. But if we can find something, it really will help to lead to the next, to the next, to the next, no matter what changes are occurring.
Beautiful.
Well, with every change, there's usually within season something to look forward to. So, hey, we're all here. We're doing what we can do. And in doing what we can do, we need to land the plane and do quick 60 seconds round the horn to put everyone off into this change that we're all about to take on with some positivity, some thoughts, some encouragement. So who wants to go round horn to end the MBVS show?
Oh, don't say to end the MBVS show, to
For
pause.
the summer. For the summer.
We are pausing and resting, which I think we all need to do sometimes, right? So take this chance to pause and rest, and don't be strangers. Just because the show isn't coming out every week doesn't mean that we're not still living and checking our DMs. And so continue to reach out and stay friends, keep following us on Clubhouse, and come to the room and hear from us and share your joys and share your concerns. And we're all a big family. And this has just been such an amazing summer sharing with everybody here on the stage, but then also everybody who's listening and has reached out and congratulated us and shared their concerns. And, it's just been so wonderful. So I want to end this by saying a big thank you. Coming from Tasia's, giving gratitude, right? To be able to use our voice for gratitude. This is my way of saying thank you to Mark for starting this. Thank you to everybody here on stage, everybody who's come, and then, of course, everybody who's been listening. So thank you.
Yes, I would just say I feel like check-in and balance are the two words that came up for me today in this episode. So one way that I like to get my day started is by writing morning pages, which I learned from this lady, Julia Cameron, in the book, The Artist's Way. You can see this book is totally dilapidated, which I love. Smells like old. I've done the book 4 times, and I teach my students all the time, 10 minutes in the morning, if you can just write out, just kind of vomit out what's going on, like Tasia said, and Haley and Dr. Norman all touched on today. When you really are aware of what your own process is, your own thoughts, it really has an effect on how we communicate to the world, what our expectations are of other people. And sometimes you won't be happy with what you see there, but it's not for judgment. It's actually the opposite. It's just to release so that we can be more conscious and conscientious in our actions. And the other thing I would just say is, keep trying to balance. Like the title of the show is a little funny, MBVS, mind, body, voice, soul. And I think we cover it all here. So check in with those 4 parts of ourselves and, really see, how's my body doing, and where's my mind at today? And, how am I speaking to myself and others, and where's my spiritual life, and does it exist? Can I join a community? So that's what I would say. Thanks for being here.
Okay. And I'll say that, it's been such an honor to be with you and to learn from you and to grow with you. And what I go to all the time is, again, how do we speak to ourselves? How do we give great voice? The most important person we can give great voice to first is ourselves, to move, touch, and empower and affirm ourselves. One of the most beautiful sentences I've ever heard as totems is, whatever we say after I am or I have with conviction and consistency tells our future. So what are we saying to yourself? Start every morning with a kind affirmation. I love myself. I believe in myself. I am beautiful. I am powerful. I deserve wonderful, beautiful life. And then take that energy that you give to yourself and then bring it out into the world and then give it to others. It's a wonderful way to start. There's nothing cocky or arrogant about loving yourself. It is essential for good mental, physical, and wellness. And if you can bring that, then again, it will reflect, the energy reflects, and people will feel it, and your life will vibrate higher and higher. And that's how we create together a beautiful world.
And Tasia, I want to say, in terms of that vibration and that evolution, I believe that there is no healing without connection, and there's no connection without love. So everyone, you've connected with us throughout these 13 weeks of the summer. Listen to our podcast in an effort to feel connected and feel love. Don't let it stop. Continue reaching out to others for support, and remember to give in turn, because when we help others in need, we rise above our own sorrow, our own loneliness, and recognize that we're not alone in these struggles in this life. This is a room for mental wellness. And in order to maintain wellness, we maintain connection. There is no healing without love. And I say to all of you, you have healed me because I've loved working with you and meeting with you. And I hope we continue to do this again. So remember, stay connected to those you need, to those you love, and all things are possible.
Woohoo!
You guys are the best. You're the best. You're the best around. And I appreciate all that you've done as you show up and show out for everybody every single week. So, hey, listen, we're over. We're landing the plane. It's going down. You guys watching are blessed by the best. So stay encouraged. You're going to get knocked down, but get back up. So for Dr. Haley, Dr. Norman, for Barb, for Tasia, and this is Mark Hayford saying, hey, keep your heads up. We love you guys.
Love
Peace.
you.